This is the Hollywood Outsider, a weekly movie and TV podcast with a new episode every Thursday. This is episode 142, and this week we're discussing upcoming releases including Blended and X-Men Days of Future Past, spoiler-free reviews of Walk of Shame, and the new shows Penny Dreadful and Gang Related. Our From the Outside In topic this week is time travel. Why it works, why it doesn't, and what our favorite time travel films are. The latest in movie and TV news, including our own trivia segment. My name is Aaron Peterson. With me today are my fellow hosts, Scotty Clark.
Hey, how's it going? This is Scott Clark.
Nice try. It sounded a little seductive there. Brian Williams.
Oh, yeah.
You guys just don't realize how well that doesn't play, do you?
I think it sounded fine, Brian.
Thank you, Justin.
Hey, Brian, how are you doing?
You know, because Justin is the king of music intros. So that means a lot more to me than your little 2 cents there, Aaron. So I'm doing well. Thank you.
And Justin McCumber.
I'm bringing you the soothing sounds of the mellow rain.
Yeah.
On Q102.
I like that.
He got it. He got it right. He got it right. Thanks for queuing up some Huey Lewis. I'm sure he might actually be listening to us.
Hey, don't forget the news.
No, screw the news.
It ain't just Huey Lewis,
Yeah.
He had the news.
I thought the news was coming up later. What do you mean screw the news? I didn't get that format.
Oh, God, you guys are driving me insane.
You did like 12 updates to Google Docs today, and you took out the news? You didn't tell me?
There was nothing really dire in there. I didn't think he really cared.
I mean, I don't, but...
I didn't know he read the Google Doc ahead of time.
We didn't either. In fact, I thought his format just said, pause, So
Yeah, it's, space, you're like, enter, and,
There's a colon in there somewhere.
Spacebar.
What about Channing Tatum as Gambit? Did you know that one?
Poor Taylor. He just didn't do it well enough, or now everybody looks at him like he is just the albatross of Hollywood.
Here's the thing, though. I think Taylor Kitsch looks more like Gambit.
I think he looks more like Gambit,
yeah,
but his accent was terrible.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, he had the physical stature for Gambit and the cool hair.
Channing Tatum is too big. He's too built.
Yeah, but he's been politicking for this for quite a while now, and he can't. I mean, he's even in the 21 Jump Street movie. I mean, he was slimmed down a little more. He wasn't as bulky as he is in most of his movies. So,
well, apparently his dad is Creole or something, so he knows the accent that Gambit is supposed to have, and he's ready to do it. There is a lot more.
What is it? What kind of accent? You just got to sound like a lecherous rapist. There you go. There's a Southern accent.
Or French.
Or
whatever.
French. Either one.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's hard to determine between the two, but
I'm still wondering about yours.
Wow, you got to go personal, bro.
Yeah, I mean, good Lord, I wasn't even picking on you.
Did we attack you? Did he attack you?
I was being nice for once. I don't know. I mean, that's what I get. I get shit on.
Mm-hmm. You had it coming. You did have it coming.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Why don't you guys like Channing Tatum? I'm fine with it. I actually like Taylor Kitsch. I don't care what everybody. I liked him as Gambit. I thought he was fun.
I did too.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. When I first saw that, I cringed. I was like, this is crazy. But really, the more I kind of thought about it, he fits more and more I think, again, he's actually politicked for this for quite a while. So I think that he will probably slim down and, kind of fit the physical mold a little bit more.
Does he really need to? Can't he just put on a baggy shirt?
Not if he wants to be Gambit.
No, Gambit wears like tight clothes, and Gambit is like a tall, lean, long, and this is, I think, where kind of the people may have a problem is he's got kind of a long face.
Well, but then again, if we were going to be that concerned about it, we would have booed Hugh Jackman off the screen the first time he played Wolverine, because Wolverine is a very, very short, very stocky guy, and Hugh Jackman was neither of those things. But because of his ability and his acting, he pulled it off and made us root for him. So, I think Channing Tatum is a more talented actor than people want to give him credit for, and I'm curious to see what he'll do with this.
I agree with you totally, and I think his facial structure, I actually like it. I'm picturing, the head. He's got like a headband, right? with a hair sprouting out.
It's like a mask without a. It's like a headpiece, really, more without the face front.
I can see that, but when I think of Gambit, I think of scrawny or almost wiry. I don't think of build.
You really think tall, lanky, kind of almost like a Tom Hiddleston type build.
Exactly. I don't think of sexy abs when I think of Gambit.
Oh, I do. He's got some sexy abs, but
I think Gambit. I think.
I think Channing Tatum is more than enough actor to play Gambit.
I agree with you.
I don't think
100%.
it's that deep a character.
But if you were to just take it, take him as he is, or as he's been in most of his movies, you would probably pick him more for Colossus than you would Gambit.
That's a very good call.
Just going now, I'm not saying he can't get down to that size, that kind of stuff, or change his accent slightly to do it, because he is from Alabama originally. Mm-hmm. So he is from the Gulf Coast region. So he's close enough, and he's grown up around that area enough to where he knows what it's about. So I've got faith in
New Orleans.
So I've got faith in that. But
just put Kevin Spacey in it, be done with it.
Oh my God. Kevin Spacey is just the answer for everything now, huh?
Have you? Yeah, I love his Southern take. Yeah, I like it.
I mean, he's even in the next Call of Duty. So.
I just don't think you have to cast a Southerner for that part. I mean, it's an actor. That's what they get paid to do, is, act. Well, then we got to get rid of a lot of Brits that are playing Americans, if that seems to be a problem. I'm just saying. It seems.
And I'm just saying there's
silly.
a lot of people who screw up some Southern stuff.
Mostly Southerners.
No, they're not.
What? Let's move on. You're starting to step.
You're starting to tread on some. Yeah.
Some Confederate flags.
You better step in some jambalaya, bitch.
All right, Roberto Orsi and his truther theories are going to be behind the camera as he's helming Star Trek 3. They did confirm it, which polarizes different people for different reasons. Some because he's a little bit of an ass, and if you don't know why, just Google him. You'll find it. Some because he's never directed in his life. And I know you're a huge fan of the series, Scott. How do you feel about it?
Well, first off, I really don't give two shits about the drama surrounding this guy.
All right.
We talk about this quite a bit on this show, separating the art from the person. I don't care what's going on in his personal life. And for those that aren't familiar, he's very much a conspiracy theorist, especially surrounding 9/11 and all kinds of conspiracy theories going around about that. He had some weird thing about tweeting something right before the Boston Marathon, and then the Boston Marathon actually happened, and I don't know. I'm more interested in his work, not his personal life. And when I IMDb'd him, I saw lots of movies that I liked, but I saw some movies that kind of made me go. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's had his hand in a lot of movies: The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Transformers, both Star Trek films, which I did love, the Sleepy Hollow television show, Ender's Game, Now You See Me, Cowboys vs. Aliens. A lot of big name movies, and whether you like them or love them or hated them, I don't know. I would much rather have J.J. Abrams back, but I'm also okay with that guy focusing more on Star Wars than Star Trek. Mm-hmm. I don't really have a problem with this.
I don't have a problem with him. I have a problem with a first-time director taking a huge franchise like this. But I will say he has been a producer on a number of properties, so he has had extensive time to be behind the scenes and see how this works. And he's worked with J.J. Abrams for most of his career. Or most of the highlighted parts of his career. I'm sure he can do just fine. I'm sure he's got a good support network. I'm actually just more concerned about his writing. I don't think he's a strong writer, and I get concerned about him writing this. I would actually rather somebody else wrote it and he can direct it, but I'm not a fan of his writing.
Okay. You didn't like the first two Star Trek movies, the reboot movies?
I think there's a lot of parties involved. I think you put it all on his shoulders based on his body of work, not just one or two things. And he's not shown to be a very talented writer, in my opinion.
Okay.
To me, he's just a name that I see pop up on a lot of different TV shows and movies that I kind of raise my eyebrows and go, all right. He's part of this. This has got maybe a little bit more credibility. I mean, he's had some hits and he's had some misses. The first time I think he let me down was, what was the ABC show, The River?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
That was a bit of a, letdown, but, but he's had some good stuff too. So I don't really care if he's an asshole. I assume most of these people are assholes. So
that's probably fair.
To reach his level in the industry, you pretty much have to be an asshole.
That's one way to look at it. Sure. I'm sure.
I started training for that early.
You sure did.
You've got that part down pat.
You got an Olympic
You're well on your
medal.
way, Justin.
Did you get the gold yet?
Fuck off.
Probably focused on that a little too much, but just saying. You should maybe try being a little bit more well-rounded instead of specializing so much.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Justin. I love
What?
you, man.
Yeah.
I love you.
I'm sure you do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling it.
Favorite evil genius.
I'm feeling all the love. Personally, I feel like if Paramount trusts him to be in charge of directing a film that is going to be one of their big tentpole releases, the least I can do is give him a chance and wait to see what comes out.
Couldn't agree more.
Fair enough. But I just say Star Trek V. Let's just think about that. All right, Will Smith is getting back to the type of sci-fi we love from him in Brilliance, pairing him with Noomi Rapace. Ooh.
Yeah, no, this is an adaptation of a book, and I've not read it. In fact, I didn't even know the book was out there, but apparently a writer by the name of Marcus Sakey's written several books that are in this series, and the story is about that in the world, certain people are born with extraordinary abilities, and they're called brilliants.
Mm-hmm.
Already, I'm kind of underwhelmed. I mean, how often have we seen this kind of story written where, if just a few people are born with extraordinary abilities? It's been done so many times, and then to call them brilliants, to me, it seems like, I'm looking for something to call them, but I don't want to call them superheroes or mutants or whatever. So let me try and find something unique. And he just thumbed through the thesaurus, saw brilliant, thought, well, I guess that'll work, and then ran with it. But that aside, it's got Will Smith is supposed to be in it, and Noomi Rapace. I'm actually a little more excited because of her. I find her a more interesting actor to see what they do now than Will Smith. He's kind of burned me last couple of times he's been out, so we'll have to see. But it's a story about people with abilities. You've already kind of got me, even if it's not the most original idea to ever come down the road. But we'll see. I mean, Legendary Pictures is involved with it, and they've done some pretty amazing movies lately, so hopefully their track record will continue.
I love Will Smith. I just love Will Smith. Even After Earth, he was my favorite part of that crappy movie. I mean, he elevated it as far as I'm concerned. And
well, that's not saying much, though.
Well, it is to me. It is to me because I absolutely loathed his son's performance, and I loved his. So, it brought the movie up for me. For me, he's just one of those guys that has charisma, and whenever he's on screen, I instantly connect to him, I guess. So he's definitely one of my favorite actors. I mean, he's no Kurt Russell or Dennis Quaid, don't get me wrong, but I definitely connect with him, and I want to see the movies that he did for a long time, fun, involving, entertaining. That's what he used to do. And then he got away from it. He's actually been off the screen outside of After Earth for a few years. He really took a break, and I just want to see him back in his element.
He did miss MIB3, which was a turd.
Yeah,
and he did After Earth.
That wasn't I liked him.
That came and went so fast. I thought that was just like they were still developing it.
I disagree. So. I liked MIB3. I did not think that was a turd. Yeah, I didn't think that was a turd at all.
The second one was crap, and the third one was.
Did you like it because of Will? Did you like it because of Will Smith, or did you like it because of Josh Brolin?
I liked it because of both of them.
Yeah, I will agree that Men in Black 2 was a turd, but I really enjoyed Men in Black 3.
Yeah, Men in Black 2 should be it should be removed from the catalog. IMDb should not even show it.
But then he got on this whole push of putting his children up in our face, and I lost a lot of goodwill.
I see what you're saying.
Oh, I didn't mean to make that pun, but look at it, goodwill. It just, I don't know, when it suddenly became less about him and more about him pushing his children, I kind of checked out a little bit. So, he doesn't have to do anything to please me. on a personal level. But if he does good work, then maybe I'll let him back into my circle of trust. But for right now, he's outside.
Here's what I want you to do, Will. I want you to pimp your wife more because she's great. I like Jada Pinkett a lot. So I do like Jada Pinkett.
Hold on, Trigger.
What? I like Jada Pinkett.
Well, the rumors like the last 6 months are that they're on their way out because he's running around with all these other women. So,
Big Willie style, huh?
Just saying, there was a picture of him in a photo booth with some other white chick who was lifting her shirt up.
So. Oh, well, that's busted. Yeah, that's gold right there.
Look, and that, that's not,
take it from the Inquirer.
Online, type news, but we don't usually deal in that. But just for the record, just so you're clear that they're not,
You just broke the story that's probably going to end their marriage. I hope you're happy. She might not have seen that picture. Nice job, Brian.
Well, it came out a few months ago, so if she,
She's busy pimping her children.
If she doesn't have a Google alert for her husband, that's her fault.
Wait, you can do that?
Yeah, you can set a Google alert for anything.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
Scott, you had something you wanted to add?
Well, it's kind of passé by now, but I agree with Justin that this seems like kind of the same old story, like, people with exceptional powers. Where I think this story differentiates a little bit from that is that it feels like it's X-Men set in a world where everybody is an X-Men. Does that make sense? Like they're not special. They all have these kind of superpowers, but everybody has different superpowers.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
So
not everybody in the world has these powers. It's only a specific number. That was from my reading of it. It was specific individuals, a small number, have these abilities that make them special above and beyond anyone else, which immediately made me think of that sci-fi show Alphas, which that was its entire premise, was that few people are born, they have this, abilities above and beyond normal people. But where Alphas got me was that they were trying to keep it to a real world kind of ability, say like someone who has super strength, but it's all through adrenaline, or someone with synesthesia, able to detect things because of that unique confluence of senses, whereas other people couldn't. But they very quickly then veered right into some guys able to see wireless communications in his head, as though it's lines of light passing in front of him. And so, they kind of started going the X-Men route too. And that just, I don't know. Like I said, I've seen this 1,000 times. Hopefully there's something about it, though, that they do that does elevate it.
Justin's right. It is a rare group of people. It's not the whole world. It's a rare group of people.
Justin's right is pretty much just a kind of a given.
I'm sure you have a T-shirt that says it. Yeah,
I do. I'm wearing it right now.
Yeah, he actually stopped listening after you said right. Justin's right. Okay, I'm shutting down.
All right, Ridley Scott is in talks to direct Matt Damon in The Martian. I know we mentioned Matt Damon 2 weeks in a row. Do you want to see Gravity 2 so soon, B?
Well, I'm amazed that you went through Matt Damon twice without going, Matt Damon.
Oh, did you have to do that?
Oh,
I was kind of hoping
close.
we could just brush past it.
That's a golf clap.
See, it bugs
That's
y'all too.
clap.
I just thought it was me. So,
No, it bugs me, but I was kind of hoping,
at
we
least
might not do it.
Hey.
At least we know from now on that the three of us won't do it. It's just a shitbird named Aaron who will.
Really? Because I didn't do it this time. Keep going.
Yeah, you went through twice without doing it once.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, all right. Anyway, we can discuss that later. So, I thought they just did this movie with Liev Schreiber, didn't they? I mean,
Well, no, this is a little bit
The Last
different.
Days of Mars.
yeah, Last Days of Mars. I mean, because wasn't he stranded on Mars too? I mean,
Well, yeah, but I don't think this involves any kind of creatures that infect people and turn them into like pod people.
Well, tell them what it is about, Brian, because I didn't.
Well, that was pretty much all I got was from the article. Was that it's about a guy that's stranded on Mars, and it's about a rescue mission to get him back. So I didn't realize there was. I knew it was based on. It is based on a book, and Drew Goddard was attached to do this movie, but because he's wrapped up with the Sinister Six movie, Ridley Scott has jumped in to take it over.
Oh, I'd rather have Drew Goddard do it.
Yeah?
Yeah, than Ridley Scott. Yeah, Ridley's getting up there, man. And after Prometheus, he lost a little bit of goodwill with me, but not a lot. I mean, he's still a good director. I just don't think he's as good as he used to be.
I have heard nothing but good things about this book. In fact, it's got 3,500 reviews on Amazon with an average of 4.5 out of 5. So people love this book, and I've heard much the same. So I'm really curious to see this turned into a movie. And I like Ridley Scott. I still have some faith in him. I want to see what he does with this.
Welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. All right, well, it's one thing to have your child kidnapped, but what if she shows up kind of broadcast over the air, like 8 years later? So The Captive is a thriller, The Captive being the title of the movie that we're talking about here, is a thriller starring Ryan Reynolds and Rosario Dawson, coming out sometime later this year. Date's not been set yet from what I saw. It's kind of a welcome change of direction here from Ryan Reynolds' normal action and rom-com movies here that he's been doing late. So kind of appears to be bringing a little bit of intensity, a little bit reminiscent of Hugh Jackman in Prisoners. So, Justin, what do you think? Is this one that can break Ryan Reynolds' run of stinkers?
I don't know. I mean, I watched the trailer for it. I kept waiting for it to captivate me. And it never quite did. And I also got that Prisoners vibe from it. I don't know if it's because of the cold or just both of them look haggard in their individual movies, but it almost felt like, yeah, I think I've already kind of seen this. Do I need to go back in and see a different version of it? It didn't really do much for me, to be honest.
I loved it. I was actually taken by surprise. I'm really burned out on Ryan Reynolds. He has just become that actor that had so much promise at one time and then played snarky a little too much and got really old really fast. Took a few too many bad roles. And this...
It was Deadpool, admit it. Come on, that ruined him for you.
No, to me it was R.I.P.D.
Yeah, no, he was going downhill. It was Green Lantern for me. He's just been going downhill for a couple of years. But I like him as an actor, and I like him as a personality. I just want him to take more different roles, as opposed to I'm the wisecracker in every movie. Because for most actors, that's not going to play out, and especially this day and age when everybody's a superhero, that just doesn't hold water anymore. You gotta vary it up a little bit. I thought this is a great concept, and I don't get the Prisoners. I got the Prisoners vibe at the beginning of this trailer, but by the end, when you see gunfights and you see all the action going on, there's a lot of different things happening. I realize that, and the actors that are involved, there's a lot of good actors here. This seems like it's going to be much more of a deeper movie than what you, I think, initially think just by the description.
I agree. I think that Prisoners was a much more simpler story.
Yeah, very simplistic, yeah.
That had great performances that made the movie seem deeper than it was. This seems like a deeper movie that has some great performances behind it with a better mystery. I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of mystery behind Prisoners. It was like one way or the other. You had one or two choices. This movie is really intriguing me on multiple levels.
That's what appealed to me about this also, was that it you can watch this and you get an idea of what it's about, but you know that there is a bigger mystery behind this because, again, I mean, the kid pops up 8 years later, and like I say, you got all the different conflicts and stuff. So there's definitely more to it than what we're seeing. And that's what, to me, is kind of what sucks me into these types of movies, is that what exactly is going on.
I can't wait, man. Can't wait.
Good deal. Well, again, we're waiting on the actual release date, but it is making the rounds in the festivals and stuff. So hopefully we'll know a little bit more soon. All right. Well, next up, John Constantine has some issues. He's basically a man that, even though he knows better, he's got some issues with his faith. You see, he's been tasked with a lonely job of protecting the human race from the forces of darkness that are gearing up for a big hoedown. See what I did there?
Yeah, I see what you did there.
All right.
Clever.
Well, it's filming now in Atlanta, Georgia. What?
Well, stop over there, man. Get some pics.
I'm just going to take a ride up yonder. The upcoming series, Constantine, airs later this year on NBC. And as much as I fought my prejudice against quality shows that actually happen on network TV, I have got to admit this looks pretty awesome. What say you, Aaron?
I'm not on the Constantine bandwagon. I think it looks okay, but it's not really making me excited, honestly. But I seem to be in the vast minority. But oh God, I'm getting close to Scott Clark. I'm tired of all the comic book stuff. I like other things besides just comic book properties, and I feel like the news is. How do I say this without sounding like some kind of what's going on? It's not that it's all comic book news. There's obviously a lot more shows, but the only things that seem to get prominence right now are comic book properties. So it feels like the marketing is on overload for everything DC or Marvel related, and it's become a little bit of an exhaustion.
You know what? I will say I'll agree with you to a certain extent, but for me personally, even though I did grow up reading comic books and will occasionally pick up the comic book here and there. Now, I never read the Constantine or the Hellblazer comic books that the Constantine character is taken from. So that being said, I mean, I actually liked the Constantine movie.
Yeah, I did too.
And the whole story that is, I guess it surrounds. So that with the pretty cool effects that were released in the trailer and the little kind of extended cut that I saw, I've got some pretty good hopes for this. But Scott, I'm sorry, I kind of cut you off there. What?
No, not at all. I'm saying I enjoyed the film as well. It's one of those that I have no connection with the source material, like you said. I've never read the comics, obviously, but the movie was very interesting to me. Although it's been a while since I've seen it, I almost feel like I need to rewatch it.
It did have Shia LaBeouf as the cab driver, so there is that.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
really? I didn't.
It's like his kind of little assistant guy.
Oh, I remember that now. Yeah. Hey,
it was one of his better roles, but
he died.
Do you think they'll have smoking in the show? Because that's big for network TV. Doesn't really do that anymore.
Have what in the show?
Smoking. Smoking's almost outlawed on network TV. You go find a show with smoking. It will be very rare.
Is it a staple of the comic book, or?
Yeah,
it was a pretty big part of it. I mean, the character, if I'm not mistaken, was dying of lung cancer.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm really excited for this one. Yeah, I do agree that comic books do seem to be becoming more and more of a source for TV and movies. When I look at my list of shows that are coming up that I'm excited about, 4 of them are comic books, or they come from it. But for me, Constantine, even though its origin is a comic book, because it doesn't have people in tights and superheroes and all the things that go along with that kind of comic book movie, I don't consider it the same sort of comic book movie. To me, it's more along the lines of a Supernatural or one of those horror related shows, not so much a comic book show. And I think that's what separates it a little bit for me. But I'm really excited by this. I love the trailer. I thought the guy who's playing Constantine not only looks and sounds like the character from the comic books, but the story surrounding that trailer is really cool. And I'm hoping that NBC is going to do this one right. Would I have preferred something like AMC or FX to do it? Sure. Mm-hmm. But can NBC do a good Constantine show? It's possible. Let's just hope they actually do it.
It looks like a bold move for a network television show. Seriously.
If they hold to the source material, it will be a bold move. I just, NBC is a hit or miss with these kind of property. Like Dracula, I thought was Drac. And
yeah, well, that's why they canceled it.
Yeah, exactly. But Grimm, I mean, I don't love the effects of it all the time, but I also think it's a kind of a low-budget show, and that's kind of part of the appeal or part of the mystique about it is the way that they do their effects. But that show is well written and it's entertaining. And I think NBC could do it. I just don't know if they're going to commit to it. I got to tell you, that's a great block. You got Constantine, Grimm, and Hannibal on Friday. That's a fun night for...
That's a dark night.
That's a dark night, but that's, people that are in, that's something scary to watch.
Speaking of dark nights, the picture was awesome.
Oh, the new costume? The Batman costume? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God, yes. If that doesn't shut up the Batfleck haters, at least for a few weeks.
I'm a fan of the shorter ears, bat ears, I'm not going to lie. I thought it was pretty cool.
The snubbiers or stubbiers, whatever they're called.
And that Batmobile is so awesome.
I like the texture of the costume. And the new costume has a lot of texture, and it looks like, I don't know, just battle-tested character. It gives it a little depth that I don't think the other ones have. And there's no nipples, so no nipples are good.
Yeah, it looks like a skin or something almost, not just some hard rubber plastic stuff.
Well, we got off topic. Wrap it up, Brian.
We did.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're in the trailer parks. All right. So anyway, be sure to go to thehollywoodoutsider.com to check out these trailers. Tweet us at H_outsider. Go to facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsider. Click on that like button. Email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com and call us and or text us at 818-81 I'm a ho. That's 818-814-6246.
Let's go to the big screen and review any new releases. We already reviewed Neighbors, but Scott's going to give us a quick take of what he thought of it real quick. But before we get to that, Justin, you saw Walk of Shame, which is that new Elizabeth Banks movie that did not do very well. But is there a reason why it didn't do well, or did you like it?
Yeah, honestly, no. I don't know why. My wife and I watched it on iTunes because it was available via streaming while it's also in theaters. Yeah, written and directed by Stephen Brill. It stars Elizabeth Banks, James Marsden, Gillian Jacobs, and Sarah Wright. It's all about her character as this anchor woman who wants to rise up the ranks, but she thinks she's gotten passed over because of another girl who has a cleaner image than she has. So she decides, screw it, I'm just going to go out, have some fun, and just blow off steam. Next thing she knows, she's being chosen for the anchor position, but now she has to get there to test for it. And of course, lots of hilarity ensues. It's not a laugh a minute. It's not a constant chuckle fest, but it was genuinely really funny. And I find Elizabeth Banks to be incredibly charming. And with her taking on this lead role, I thought she did it really, really well. I think it deserves more of a chance than maybe some people are giving it. She is the main actor in it. James Marsden and the rest, they kind of come and go in little bits, but she carries it on her shoulders, and she does a more than admirable job. She is funny.
Do you think it got a little shortchanged in this movie? Like it just got bad press, or what?
I don't think Elizabeth Banks is a big enough actor yet to put a movie on and then expect lots of people to go see it and lots of money to come in. People might want her to be Sandra Bullock, but she's not there yet. They may want her to be someone else, but she'll get there. And these kinds of movies are what's going to get her there. I actually found it genuinely funny, and if I was to give it a 1 out of $10, I'd give it a solid 7.
Well, speaking of Neighbors, it partied to $49 million in its opening weekend. It was huge, and Zac Efron beat Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 got electrocuted by 61%, down to 35.
You mean Spider-Man?
Yeah, who was that used that on the Facebook wall? That was genius, whoever did that.
I don't know, but it was funny, because that's accurate.
The Amazing Spider-Man.
I'm sure they will remind us.
Got electrocuted by 61%, down to $35.5 million for a $146 million total. That's actually normal for a big comic book movie, so it's not as horrible as the media likes to paint it. The Other Woman held third with $9.6 million for a $62 million total, because nothing says Mom's Day like 3 women making a man suffer. Other openings, Mom's Night Out was kind of a drag with only $4.3 million, and Legends of Oz managed one of the worst wide releases ever with $3.7 million in over 2,500 theaters. It was so awful.
I saw like something about that and was going, oh, there you go. There's another direct-to-DVD Walmart special. And then go, oh, my God, this is actually releasing in the theaters this weekend? Mm-hmm. What?
Yep.
Kind of like that Hoodwinked or whatever that CGI movie was.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, folks, this week we have only got 2 movies that we're going to be talking about, both of them opening up on May 23rd. The first one, Blended. I cannot wait for this. I am betting the farm that it is going to be hysterical. This is Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore's latest film together. Apparently, that's the movies that he makes the most money on, is when Drew's with him. After a bad blind date, a man and woman find themselves stuck together at a resort for families where their attraction grows as their respective kids benefit from the burgeoning relationship. As I said, Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore, Kevin Nealon, Terry Crews, Joel McHale. The list goes on and on. It looks hysterical. I hope you can sense the sarcasm, Aaron. What do you think?
I like Adam Sandler, but it does look pretty bland. And it's hard because I always like Adam Sandler. I make no apologies. I don't care what people, they can harp on me all they want. He's a hack. Da, da, da. You know, it used to be a time when he was cool and now he's not cool. Whatever. I still like him. I don't like him nearly as much though. And him with Drew Barrymore, I'm kind of in the opposite camp. That connection only worked for me in The Wedding Singer. I didn't like it in 50 First Dates, and I'm not really looking forward to this one. This movie looks like Just Go For It times 2. You know what I mean? Did you ever see that? It looks like the same movie, just without Jennifer Aniston.
What was Go For It?
Just Go For It was his last movie with Jennifer Aniston.
Remember, it had Brooklyn Decker.
That was my point.
Oh, yeah. Well, my wife loves that movie, but it's okay, and I like Adam Sandler. I mean, and he makes a lot of family movies. The movie will make money. It's probably going to make $100 million. Why will be anyone's guess, but
just he's one of those guys that people just have a knee-jerk reaction when they see his name, especially paired up with Drew Barrymore. Mm-hmm. They just go, it's like somebody sneezing and saying bless you. Anybody that watches this movie, you can ask them in about 3 weeks, what was it about? They probably won't even remember they went.
Yeah, I can't even tell you. The last one of his that I truly enjoyed, like where I would say, man, I really like that Adam Sandler, was probably The Longest Yard. I really liked The Longest Yard. I think it's actually a really good football movie, not just because of Adam Sandler being in it and it's cheap comedy. But man, he just doesn't. He plays it safe anymore. He plays it too safe. He used to be a little cutting edge, and he'd do something
wait,
crazy.
Jack and Jill was safe?
No, Jack and Jill was stupid. That was neither. And that was still a hit. That movie still made $75 million. True story. Everybody, what a flop.
Jack and Jill could have starred Eddie Murphy and it would have been the same shit.
True. But Eddie Murphy wouldn't have made $75 million. So that says something. The guy is loved.
I want to like Adam Sandler. I used to like him a lot. But it seems like ever since, I mean, at least for the past 10 years, he has picked nothing but the same kind of half-assed movie to do, whether it's The Grown-Ups or this one or That's My Boy or whatever. It's just it's low energy, low thought, least amount of effort possible kind of filmmaking.
Yeah, but I liked him and Drew Barrymore together. I
like 50 First Dates. I do too.
I enjoyed that movie. I love The Wedding Singer. I was looking forward to seeing them in a third movie together. This movie looks like they're trying way too hard to be a romantic comedy or a date movie.
What? We've talked about this movie, I think.
Oh, if we were talking about X-Men,
way more than it deserves.
You would be fine with keeping going. You'd just be like, all right, let's talk some more. It's X-Men.
Talk about what?
Well, if we're gonna drone on and on and on about a movie,
it might as well be X-Men.
That's my boy.
Speaking of which, the real movie that people will be going out to theaters to check out that same weekend, X-Men Days of Future Past. Bryan Singer has returned to the X-fold and is treating us to a new movie about where the X-Men send Wolverine to the past in a desperate effort to change history and prevent an event that results in doom for both humans and mutants. Of course, the list of stars on this goes on and on. Hugh Jackman, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Halle Berry, Nicholas Hoult, Anna Paquin. It just goes on and on. Peter Dinklage, who really should be getting an Emmy for last week's Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. This movie has been talked about pretty much since it was first announced. And Fox has already been talking about the next one, Apocalypse. But before we can go to that one, we've got to do this one. Who is as excited as I am to go see this movie?
Dude, I'm pretty sure I surpass your excitement for this movie. This is my most anticipated movie of the year.
I'll whip my excitement out.
Is there? Whoa! Well, that's probably not going to take up much room. It's a good thing
this isn't video.
Now, pardon me while I whip this out.
I believe it was excuse me while I whip this out.
All right, Cleavon Little, continue.
I cannot wait to see this movie. I can't wait to rewatch the X-Men First Class at home and to go into the theater. This trailer is so exciting to me because as much information as they're giving, they're also leaving out so much that I can't wait to see on screen. It's one of those trailers. Well, there's multiple trailers actually. There's 2 or 3 now. Everyone makes me more intrigued. Makes me even more intrigued than the last one I saw. I cannot wait to see this movie. I'm so excited.
I honestly haven't watched the trailer since the last one we talked about. I've purposely been avoiding.
Yeah?
I don't want to be spoiled. Yeah, I hate that crap. And this one seems like something where I'm going to see little details that are going to make me... Because, Brian, you know this. We both see those trailers and we're thinking while we're watching it, going, where's that scene going to pop up? Where's that little scene? I don't want that, so I just want to enjoy it.
That's a classic last 10 minutes of a movie scene.
Yep.
That explosion. We're like, wait a minute. You're right. You see that scene and you're like, oh, my God, you won't see an explosion that large until the last 15 minutes of a movie.
Exactly. And when there's that many mutants, all you keep thinking of when you see them in the trailers and stuff is like when they're going to pop up, when they're going to. I don't want to feel that way. I just want to be surprised the whole way through. So I try to avoid as much as I can. And a couple of the reviews about it, they've been positive from what I've seen. So I expect,
especially about Peter Dinklage's performance. I've heard nothing but fantastic things about that.
Well, I mean, there's a whole cavalcade of stars, according to Justin. I think there's more of a. I think you used that term star a little loosely there, but there's a lot of actors.
Hey.
Yeah.
Don't take away from some of these people's hard work.
There's a lot of actors involved.
Are you saying Sean Ashmore is not a star?
Oh, he's on the rise, boy.
Are you saying Daniel Cudmore is not just A-list?
Who the hell is Daniel Cudmore?
That's kind of his point.
He plays Colossus, and he's kicking ass on the Hardee's commercials. Or maybe
Hardee's?
Hardee's commercials.
Hardee's is still around?
Or even Carl's Jr. It's the same company.
It's the same
I think it
company,
depends on which part of the country you're in. But
you know what's cool, though, is he also played Colossus in X-Men The Last Stand, which was back in 2006. So,
same guy?
You know, same guy. So
yeah.
you're talking 8 years later, they got the same dude. And I kind of have to respect that because he could have been so easily recast and nobody would have noticed.
One thing I'm really looking forward to is Bryan Singer has alluded to that he hopes to be able to clean up some of the mistakes from the past, which I assume he just means Last Stand.
He means retconning it, yeah.
Yeah, which I look forward to. So, Scott, what I would tell you is you should probably watch all 4 movies because I think there's going to be stuff that ties all 4 of them together. I think there's going to be movie stuff from each one.
Oh, challenge accepted.
Yeah. So just nerd out, man.
I was just looking for an excuse.
Put on your little Cyclops 3D glasses.
Wife, I can't do anything for the next couple weekends, honey. I'm watching X-Men.
But first, make sure you watch X-Men Origins Wolverine. Then you got to watch the first, second, and third film. Then you've got to watch The Wolverine, and then First Class.
All right,
so you actually got 6 movies.
Shouldn't you actually start with First Class?
Well, you could, but it looks like First Class is going to be referenced a lot in this movie, so I would actually put that right before this one.
I don't know. We're talking timelines. I think First Class goes, first.
No. You got to end with Return of the Jedi. You can't
Why is Star Wars involved in this?
You can't start with Phantom Menace or end with Phantom Menace. I mean, that just would. Come on, Justin, back me up.
Yeah, I agree.
Now you sound like a geek. We were talking about X-Men, not some cheesy ass.
But anyway, 6 films. Watch them.
It's all owned by Disney.
That's true. They own everything.
Anything good Disney owns.
I think it's United. We all like it.
So we are X-Men United.
We are. Oh God, fuck you, Justin. You stole it.
Well, since I said it, I think technically I got it.
No, you're not.
I put it together.
I had said it to put it together. Okay, fine, whatever.
So, X-Men Days of Future Past, you will be the movie we all go see. Blended, not on my watch.
Not so much.
I'll see it. I will. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you can take that bullet. That's fine.
I will.
Yep.
Listen and subscribe on iTunes, your Stitcher Radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do. And a rating on iTunes would be fantastic. Or through our RSS feed at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. There's a new episode every Thursday. And I'm sure, I don't know, we haven't discussed it, but I'm sure we probably will have an Inside the Movie for X-Men. Just because, God, just to explain all the stuff that comes up. From what I'm understanding, it's a little complicated.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we play ours or a listener-suggested clip from a movie. And if you think you know what the clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com, and we'll give you a proper shout-out the next week. Last week's answer was my pick, and it was The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. Those that got it right, Jacob Ba, Pablo Meza, Sean McGuire, Sandra Koki, and D.A. Cheney. I'm not saying it any other way. And D.A. Cheney. And Craig Schermerhorn said, nice grab from The Thing for this week's quote. This one is much harder than the Uncle Buck quote. The original Thing still reigns supreme as a classic monster movie. Great pull. Well, I thank you, sir. I thank you.
No, wait a minute. If mine was so hard, why did nobody get it?
Craig got it. Remember? He's the one that got it.
I'm just saying. You told him they got it.
I think that actually proves his point, not takes away. Well, no, I guess it doesn't, does it? No.
No, not at all, actually.
All right. Well, I don't know what to tell you, Scott. I don't know what to tell you.
Why don't you talk to Craig?
Yeah. Craig,
hit me up. What's my email address, Aaron?
Oh, Scott@thehollywoodoutsider.com. I can't guarantee you he checks it, but he's got one.
Oh, that's right. I got one too. Hang on, can we pause while I go check mine?
No. This week it is Justin's turn. If you think you know what this clip is, and it's a great one, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Here's your clip.
That guy has pummeled you again and again.
He made you his little bitch.
He's humiliated you, emasculated you. The wheel of fate has stopped and dumped you here again, utterly defeated.
None of this is helping me at all.
I know, it's coming. It's coming right now. Patience. Maybe you're supposed to do something different.
Oh, what is this, girl talk? Let's go here, come on.
You're better than him.
America!
Maybe not by a lot, but a little. You're the patron saint of the totally fucked.
All right, now let's go to the couch. We talk about TV and home video news. There's not much on home video, so we'll be skipping that mostly. But TV news, there's a huge firestorm of things that happened this week, mostly because the networks announced their upfronts, which means they announced what shows they're doing next season. Oh, that's exciting. And all the people they're firing because of all the canceled shows. Now, every year networks have a list of shows that they axe. So do you guys have like one or two that just broke your heart or took you by surprise?
The only one that really took me by surprise was Community, because I hear nothing but good about that show. Even though, honestly, I've never watched an episode. You know, Justin logged that show. I hear nothing but awesome things about that show and how much people love that show. Why would you cancel that show? I don't get it.
There's just not enough of us, I guess.
But it's also been on for a while, though.
Yeah, it's been on 5 seasons. It's not like it's a new show.
Yeah,
but How I Met Your Mother's been on for 8 or 9.
Yeah, and we've talked about how that should have probably been stopped 2 or 3 years ago, which is right about the same mark that they're stopping.
That's fair.
You kind of want to stop it where there's still some sort of interest in it, though. You just don't want to just go, well, all right, there's only 12 people watching anymore. Let's just give them a cool ending and call it done. You want to give them.
Community has lived under the axe of cancellation almost since the very beginning. I don't think there's been a single season where it hasn't been on a bubble. And it's actually been canceled before.
Absolutely.
And then brought back. So this isn't the first time for that either. I think right now the fans, the big push is to see if Netflix will pick it up and maybe give it another season or two. I like Community. I'm a little sad to see it gone. Not so much that I'm going to start up some kind of letter writing campaign, but the fact that fucking Fox canceled Almost Human enrages me to not quite Firefly levels, but it's within spitting distance of it. That was a fantastic show, just so good from beginning to end. I wish I understood. I'm sure it's all about numbers, but it is a great show with a great premise that I hate to see. And it's a smart show, and it's now gone.
But honestly, man, I mean, you got to blame the viewers. People always complain about shows like this getting canceled, and then they don't watch it when it's on.
Well, I'm not going to blame the viewer. I'll blame the people who aren't watching. But what's the point of even blaming them? Because they don't care either way.
Well, I know people that actually say that they love the show. I'm not talking about you. I know you watched it. But I know people that actually, I love the show. I love the show. Well, yeah. I mean, what was the last episode you saw? Oh, like the second one? Well, then it's your fault. As far as I'm concerned, I don't feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for the devoted fans because I know that they liked it. And what I saw was good, but I didn't watch it every week either. I wish it would have came back, but There's just too many
fuck
shows.
You, Aaron.
But I'm not mad that it's canceled because I didn't think it.
Well, no, but I'm blaming you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hey,
I'll take it.
the way that they track shows and what's being watched and when it's being watched, and that kind of stuff, they are tracking though. When let's say you record a show but then watch it later.
Yeah, they track DVR. Yeah.
So that's actually taken into account. Like, well, we're not getting as many viewers, so it's not a matter of the people that we're counting are the people that are watching it when it originally airs.
Yeah, there's actually some shows that grow by like 50% because they're DVR. They call it live plus 7. Basically, when it airs live plus 7 days because people watch it within 7 days generally.
Right. Okay.
It just wasn't very well received, unfortunately. So,
well, then cut it.
Premise too. It really was.
Did you watch it?
No.
Then you fuck.
No,
you too.
I mean I didn't watch it either, but I know that the people that do watch it are big fans of it. But you're either a huge fan of it or you don't watch it at all. There is no middle ground. There's no like, yeah, I watch it, but I just kind of tolerate it.
I think I'm a middle ground. I wasn't a huge fan, but I liked it. I mean, I'm not going to start a campaign for that one, that's for sure. But
I mean, there's also a handful of those characters of those people that are kind of their careers are starting to kind of take off to a different level at this point. So
that's true.
It's not really a big, that Aziz Ansari, the dude that looks like the TV version of Zach Galifianakis with a mustache.
What show are you talking about?
Isn't he on Community?
Oh, you just changed. Zach Aziz Ansari is on Parks and Rec. He's not on.
Whatever, it's the same show, ain't it?
It's not. It's not the same show.
Whatever.
I get them confused all the time.
It looks the same on the commercials, I can tell you that.
Well, that's cool, but they're still different shows. I mean, you might be dumb enough to get them confused.
You want to hit me with facts and details, fine. But in my world, they're the same shows, and they should be moving on to bigger things.
Any that bothered you, Brian?
The Neighbors. It's a simple show. It's not exactly lowbrow humor, but it sure as hell ain't highbrow humor. It's just one of those shows that I record and I watch it, and I don't necessarily have to pay attention to while I watch it. I can play on my iPad or whatever, but it does make me laugh. I mean, there are certain characters like Dick Butkus, which is this long, thin, redhead, ginger, little wimpy kid with the name of one of the toughest people in NFL history. And it just cracks me up. I mean, that characters like that, I think they kind of got a little sidetracked with some of the other subplots with it. I don't think they utilized the character Dick Butkus enough or in as good of a way as they possibly could have, but I kind of hated to see that was being canceled because I do enjoy the show.
I gotta be honest, there wasn't much. I guess I looked over the list and I understood why all of them were canceled. I didn't see anything that didn't make sense to me, I guess,
right.
But I did like Intelligence. I thought it was starting to develop into a better show than it was. I did like Almost Human, but again, I didn't watch it every week. I was kind of waiting for DVD to catch up on it. So those are really the only two that bothered me. But there wasn't a single show I saw where I don't get it. There's an uproar over Community, which I don't understand because it's like Justin said, it survived getting cut several times. You guys should be thanking the Lord that a network let the network let it last that long because its ratings have never been good. So that was almost entirely fan service. So, whenever I've read, I don't know how many posts on Facebook and articles around blogs and stuff and say, well, screw NBC, they hate us, da-da-da. I'm like, you know what? NBC gave you 5 seasons of a show that nobody watched except you and your friends. So as far as I'm concerned, you should write them a letter saying, thank you for the 5 years. I appreciate it because most people don't get that for their favorite show. Just saying. On the same token, yeah, that's right. Take that. On the same
Touché.
Token,
Down the pike.
Are there any newly announced shows that got you excited? And we're not talking 14, Justin, just 2 or 3. Brian?
Looking forward to The Flash as much as I hate on the CW channel. I have to give them their props, their Warner Brothers props for the DC comic characters that they've done with Arrow. And with the upcoming Flash series. While I haven't seen the newest season of Arrow, I am caught up on the first season through Netflix. So I'm hoping that pops up on Netflix pretty quick so I can get caught up before the Flash starts. Constantine, we talked about that earlier. Looking forward to that. But one more that's not comic book related is Grace Point. It's actually based on a British
son of a bitch. I was hoping nobody would catch that one. Go ahead.
Well, maybe you can expand on it a little bit more than I can right now. But I know it is based on a pretty popular TV show in Britain called Broadchurch.
Yes, which is excellent. Yes.
Yep. And it does star David Tennant, from those of you who are Whovians or whatever the...
Woohoo!
Is that what the nerd term is?
Yeah, the Whovians, yes.
Whovians, right.
He just basically said, hey, Justin, you're a fucking nerd.
I got it. I'm
Look,
fine.
if I had to watch any of, I do like Christopher Eccleston, but David Tennant is a second runner-up. So
there you go.
There you go. Anyway, carry on.
For me, Gotham looks fantastic. I really can't wait to see that. I'm also really looking forward to Agent Carter. I loved Haley Atwell's character from the Captain America
Damn
movies.
There goes my other checklist.
Well, you know what? Don't put yourself last this next time.
That's a good call.
Yourself first.
Good call.
Agent Carter looks great, but the one non-comic book one that I'm looking forward to is Wayward Pines. It's going to be on Fox. It's a show about an FBI agent that is looking for some other FBI agents that have gone missing. This town, from everything I've read, it looks like it's a little bit of Twin Peaks, maybe meets a little bit of X-Files. It's really an unusual place. And despite my intense continuing hatred for Fox, damn it, I will check this out. And it's based on a book. I've downloaded it, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Do you know who's behind that?
Show.
Do you know who's behind that show?
I don't.
M. Night Shyamalan.
As much as I hate some of his stuff, I like some others. I'm not going to let that steer me away. I'll check it out.
It is. And Agent Carter I just love the idea that they're bringing her back. And for those that didn't know, Haley Atwell is the character Agent Carter, because you didn't explain what it was. And she's basically... I was
trying to be brief.
Well, you could explain what it was. It's basically her in 1946 fighting Hydra. So... And did you hear how they're going to do that show though? They're going to place it like in the middle between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think that's a great idea. So you basically have a fall Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, and then a spring Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. again.
If they keep that rolling, that could be awesome.
Yeah, that's a really cool way to do it, man. Really cool way to do it. Scotty?
I'm in the minority because I like sitcoms, and I fully admit that, but I'm intrigued by The Odd Couple.
Oh, Matthew Perry?
Is Matthew Perry playing Matthew Perry, who people know from Friends, as well as the recent show he did called Go On. And then Thomas Lennon, who was in Reno 911. Two of them playing the same show and movie that's been done several times, but with a modern cast, I think that could work. I'm kind of intrigued to see where that goes. You have an endless amount of stories that you could do with that. I like it.
Thomas Lennon is of no relation to John Lennon, I'm guessing?
Correct.
Okay. Just, you never know.
Yeah.
And that's it? No other ones?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I looked at the list and nothing piqued my interest whatsoever.
All right.
I mean,
I had some. American Crime. Thankfully, I still had some left. Sons of bitches. It's a show on ABC that follows the lives of the players involved in like a racially charged trial. And apparently their lives are turned upside down. But it's written and produced by 12 Years of Slaves, John Ridley. What? Slave? Makes you laugh? Is that what you're saying?
No, you want to take a minute to sit right there?
Makes me laugh.
No. Polarizing and... Did you just say makes me laugh?
Look, you went there.
Brian.
Look, I'm not one to let a joke die around here. I'll play it up.
Polarizing and criminal law, that's two things I love in my TV, so I can't wait. But I don't quite understand how they would do that with further seasons. I don't know how you would continue that premise. So that's something I look forward to. And there's a show called, I can't make this up if I try. It's on the CW, and it's called iZombie. It makes me a little leery because it's on the CW. But it's about a zombie who takes a job at the coroner's office to gain access to the brains that she needs to survive. So I'm assuming that she seems normal.
What?
I swear to God. And what she, listen to this part, because this is going to sound a little familiar to you. When she does eat the brain, she inherits their memories. Sound like anything you might have seen in the last year or two? Maybe? Little Warm Bodies?
Yeah.
A little bit. And then helps solve crimes. I love the ridiculousness. This just sounds absolutely ludicrous, so I look forward to checking it out.
This is a thing that would have worked really well in the late 80s.
Yeah.
That is a very good call.
Definitely.
Because this sounds absolutely ridiculous.
And I want to see it.
Oh, God.
Oh, all right.
It makes me think a little bit of that show. What was it? Oh, God.
What was the Jennifer Love Hewitt show on CBS where she sees ghosts? Isn't this the same thing but with zombies?
No. What show could it possibly sound like?
Of the show. Oh, God. It was just a few years ago. It had a very colorful, bright...
True Calling?
Huh?
True Calling?
No.
It just sounds like a...
It had the Pie Man. The Pie Hole.
What the hell?
What?
What was that show called? Pushing Daisies.
Oh,
Pushing Daisies?
I don't think it sounds like Pushing Daisies.
His power was to revive the dead, and then they would inevitably solve whoever killed them or what the mystery was.
That show was great.
It was a great show, but that's what I was saying. It kind of reminded me, if she can eat the brains of the dead and get their memories and solve their crimes, whereas this guy kind of raises the dead for a little bit.
Yeah.
And solves it. That's kind of where I saw a little similarity.
But Pushing Daisies, you're bringing dead things to life. That's a little bit different than eating brains.
That's all right. In Justin's world, that's the exact same. So
why don't you both snack on my ass?
Ew.
Hey,
Wow.
That's an all-day job, and this day is half over, bitch.
All right. Well, Justin and I both saw a couple shows. Justin, you saw Penny Dreadful. What is that about?
Yeah, Penny Dreadful is a new series on Showtime. It was created and written by John Logan, who also wrote films such as The Last Samurai, The Aviator, Hugo. Most recently, he did Skyfall, and he looks like he's also going to be doing the next 2 Bond movies. So he's definitely a guy who's got some talent when it comes to writing. But it's a show set back in the 19th century in England. And I have to admit, it's got a very vague similarity to League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in that it brings together some classic fiction characters as they're fighting to discover what happened to a character's daughter, who happens to be Mina. They didn't give a last name for her, but I'm assuming it's Mina Harker from the Dracula books, because it's got Dorian Gray. It has Victor Frankenstein in it, but it stars Timothy Dalton and Ava Green, and really in a surprisingly well done turn, Josh Hartnett. He's playing a character named Ethan Chandler, who's an American gunslinger / actor who's been hired to help these Timothy Dalton and Ava Green's characters find out what's going on. The first episode, I think you can find it online for free to watch. I highly recommend people do. It is a very sharply written and directed show. I was really impressed with just how good it was, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes.
I really would like to see that. I think I'm going to have to watch some Showtime Go or whatever it's called. Showtime Anytime, is that what it's called?
I have no idea.
They should just call it Showtime Go. Really, just call it all the same stuff.
Showgo?
Showgo.
I think Justin's just like downloading apps and then trying my sign in and password and just hoping it works.
We actually have Showtime, so I actually got this legit.
Oh, see that? He'll pay for Showtime. He ain't paying for HBO.
No, my wife's paying for Showtime so she could watch Homeland.
Oh,
yeah, she's also paying for the rest of cable too.
Right. Well,
there you go.
Dude, why you gotta be partial?
Sorry.
All right. Well, I saw the pilot for Gang Related. That's the new Fox show, which comes out May 22nd. It's actually a pretty cool I was surprised by the pilot. I was actually surprised that this worked. It's got very much, it's very reminiscent of The Departed, because you've got Detective Ryan Lopez. He's basically in this gang task force, along with Terry O'Quinn, who's running the gang task force. And what the twist of the show is that Ryan is actually planted there from his gangland family, which is a little bit of a surprise. And it has a lot of quality actors in it. Sue Kang is in this. He was Han in the Fast and the Furious movies. The RZA is in it, unfortunately. Jay Hernandez is in it. There's a lot of character actors that once you watch it, you'll find out. And basically, the pilot shows him trying to play both sides of the law. He's working with the cops. He's conflicted because he actually respects the officers he works with, but he loves his family that he comes from that put him in this position. And they need information from him to stay on the lam, so to speak, stay away from the cops from busting him, keep the cops from busting him. And he also has to help the cops find something to keep going, otherwise he won't be on this task force. So there's a lot of little twists, and the pilot sets that up very well. I really like the prospect of the show. I think this could be something that might be a good summer series. Like, there's a lot of good action in it. There's some good drama. It's a nice twist to a procedural or a cop show. I don't know.
How's the RZA?
He was actually okay. This is the first time I've actually said I won't say he was good because he wasn't, but he was actually okay.
He didn't destroy it for you.
He didn't because he's a bit player. I mean, it's a minor role. He's basically in there to say, hey, the Riz is in the show. That's really what his role is in this. But
gotcha.
It's okay. And before we go on, we actually have a promo for another podcast that we're going to play right now. So take a listen to Guilty Film.
Prepare yourself for action, romance, and spoilers. It's the Guilty Film Podcast.
Join hosts Kevin McKee, Andrew Nitch, and their panel of scoundrels as they review their favorite cinematic guilty pleasures and reward their favorite Hollywood cliches with the prestigious Trope Award. Find us at guiltyfilm.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Proceeding was a paid advertisement sponsored by Taters.
What's Taters?
Taters is a delicious meal found in your grocer's produce section.
Guiltyfilm.com.
Yeah!
Woo! All right, now we're back. Now, there wasn't really anything of note on DVD and Blu-ray that we didn't cover last week. So, Brian, we're going to recast some classics. That's where every couple weeks we basically take a movie that's a little older, has to be 20 years or older, and we try to cast that with modern actors. So, Brian, you were given the task of recasting what film? Because I honestly don't remember what it was.
I was given Young Frankenstein. And I'm going to start with The Monster. And I had this huge monster of a guy that was I had imagined, but then I had somebody that tripped that up, and I can't get him out of my brain at this point. So I'm going to go with Christian Narn.
Who?
Do you know who that is?
I have no idea who that is.
All you hear in the crickets, bro. So
all right.
You need to fill
all right.
this in.
Let me.
do you want us to hop around too?
I got one word for you, and it'll be all clear.
Okay.
Hodor.
Oh, God damn, that's really good. That's really good.
Oh, no, the Hodor.
I mean, he's got the stumbling huge guy down pat easily. So
I never would have thought of that, but that's pretty good.
I didn't know he had a name. I thought he was just Hodor.
You just thought that was what he was born with.
Yeah, he's just born with Hodor. I could see him playing Hodor. Could he just say Hodor? That's like his dialogue. And everything he does from now on. I want to see it.
Well, he never really had many lines in the original movie, so you could probably get away with it. Speaking of maybe freaks of nature, so to speak, Igor in this case.
Igor.
That was originally played by Marty Feldman. There's not many actors with huge bulging eyes like him, other than
Steve Buscemi, maybe?
Steve Buscemi, or who's the girl that played Catwoman?
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway, there you go.
Halle Berry?
Tori Spelling.
Oh,
What? Tori Spelling?
Tori Spelling would be a good one. Didn't think of that one, but good call. But in this case, I actually went with Andy Serkis.
Okay. All right, that's good. Yeah. I could definitely see that.
I could, you know. All right. I'm going to actually go with Dr. Frankenstein on this one.
Frankenstein.
and that was played by Gene Wilder. I mean, it's hard to top that.
Yeah,
and I'm going with a guy who I think is a really good actor. He does have a little bit of comedic chops. Tom Hiddleston.
Oh,
I like that. That's good.
That's good.
Yeah. I really do like that.
I think that he could bring that quirky mad scientist aspect to it, and his eyes are big enough to where he can kind of, like I say, do that kind of crazy look that Dr. Frankenstein eventually evolves or devolves into. So, last one is Inga, who was played by Terry Garr, who should be, gosh, man, she should be hot, pretty buxom. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I've got 3 people written down here, and I still haven't been able to scratch any of them off. But I'm going to go with Scarlett Johansson.
I could see that.
That's not a bad call at all.
I mean, I could see that because she's funny.
She is funny. She does, she's not the greatest actress, but neither was Terry Garr. But she does have, she's got that comedic aspect about her. Couple of other options I had just to throw them out there: Christina Hendricks, and even Carice Van Houten, which you may know her as the Red Witch from also Game of Thrones. So she was the one that had the Shadow Baby, whatever.
Oh yeah, Voldemort.
Yeah,
Shadow Baby.
Yeah, I gotta say that's a good recasting.
Yeah.
That's probably some of the best we've seen yet. It's surprising, and that's what makes for a fun recast.
It's a hell of a lot better
Absolutely.
than Reservoir Dogs. Yeah.
Oh,
will you give it up?
Oh my God!
As soon as it stops being cursing my memory, then yes, I will give it up. Brian, you got to give Justin a movie. So what movie and what characters?
I want you to recast the classic Dazed and Confused.
Oh, that's a really good one. That's a really good one.
From 1993. I want you to recast Randall Pink Floyd. That was played by Jason London. Let's go with, what was it, Wooderson with Matthew McConaughey.
Shit, gonna blow your doors clean off.
Be cooler if you did.
Ron Slater, played by Rory Cochrane. And the neurotic Mike Newhouse, which was Adam Goldberg's character.
All right. Damn, that seems like it just came out. But
Feels like
it was a long time ago.
Feels like it, yeah. But it was September of '93, baby. That falls in the category, in the criteria.
20 years. Wow. 21 years. Wow.
I was 13.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Oh.
All right.
When did it come out?
93.
Yep, 93.
Oh, 93. Okay, I thought you said 95. I was like, ooh, that makes it 19. But no, you're right. 21 years.
You're just
all right.
ready to bust out on a technicality, weren't you?
I was like, shit, that's hard. How can I get out of this?
See how we all passed over to That's What She Said? I think we're all growing as men. All right, let's go to From the Outside In, where each week we talk about a topic on ours or our listeners' minds. And just to preface, so people know this, we do post the week's topic every week on the Facebook page, and it's from there that we pull the listeners' picks. But just to be clear, generally only I read those ahead of time. So if these guys seem to be stealing your picks, they're not. They actually came up with them on their own. Trust me, if they read it, I'd be shocked. Just shocked. But they try not to read it ahead of time. Me, I'm perfectly fine ripping you off. So whatever. We did get a ton of responses, so when we do read yours, we did have to whittle it down. I hope you're cool with that. But time travel has been in films and television for years. But it is also one of the most debated topics when they do it because of all the complications that arise. I mean, just think about all the time travel movies you've seen and all the different variations in your head where you go, that's not possible, that doesn't work, that's not going to happen. So what does it take for time travel to work for you, Scott?
Casting is a big thing. If you have an actor that is trying to play a younger role and you replace him with a younger actor, that younger actor has to look very much like the original actor. Or if you're using makeup effects, it has to look very much on. If not, it completely pulls me out of it. It makes me feel like I'm watching a movie instead of actually experiencing an event. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing worse than bad old person face makeup. It's
exactly
just tears me out of a movie.
And some of the best time travel movies have some of that, and it still pulls me out of it, and it bugs me to no end.
One of us should pick it up.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Sorry.
You seem to relate to him most on that. Go ahead.
For me, though, and God, I hate to throw this card out there. As a person who writes stories, in order for a time travel story to work for me, I need to know what are the rules of this time travel, and then the film has to keep to those rules. That's when a film sets up rules and then breaks them. That's going to kill it for me, I think, faster than just about anything else will. And time travel is a very tricky thing to deal with. It's hard to get it right. I think most films fail at it, and those that succeed, they either set up their rules and they keep to them, or they just kind of eschew rules altogether, and then you're just kind of holding on. But they work best when they're consistent. And for me, if that consistency isn't there, then it fails it just falls right on its face.
I just need that detail. I need I guess it has to make sense and not confuse the hell out of me. I mean, I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson, so make the rules a little simpler and easier to follow. Because when you throw out like infinite possibilities or throw out an overly detailed and meticulous rule book, if it takes a physicist to figure this thing out, it's going to be far too convoluted for me. I don't want a science. I don't want a time travel movie that's that complicated, because it feels like anytime that happens, you have too many rules to make it work for me. Because at some point, you're going to have something that doesn't fit whatever the complication that you set up. It's just not going to fit. So something isn't going to make its way into that story. It's going to just seem out of place and funky.
Well, that's where I think finding the sweet spot is important, because if you can explain the science of the travel mechanic in an approachable way without, quote, dumbing it down to the audience, it's finding that perfect sweet spot. And we're gonna get to our favorites in that. There's a couple of movies in particular that I think do that very, very well, where they blur that line between making it super scientific but making it seem like, yeah, this could probably happen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely do. What about you, Brian? What makes it work for you?
You know, a lot of people kind of focus on the continuity, I guess. I don't focus it on as much as if, like, along with the same lines you guys say, like, as long as the rules are set up early enough and, you know, they're set up earlier, it's not, again, you don't need to break out a slide rule and a refresher in quantum physics or anything to figure it out. Yeah, I mean, you give me a reason why choosing option B won't change much in the future versus option A, then I'm fine with it. I'm just not going to worry about the details as much. I mean, I'm there to be entertained. I'm not really there to debunk any continuity.
Yeah, don't over-explain it. You know what? I mean, that's one thing I like about the Terminator. You know, you've got that whole conundrum where, okay, so that's his dad, but they're in the future, so how could it possibly be his dad? Because if he doesn't go back in the future or in the past, then it's not really possible. You know, you got that whole mind fuck, and they don't even care. You know, James Cameron's like, I'm not even going to try to really explain that one, and I'm fine with it.
There's a big dude he's like half robot.
Yeah. He's just like, I'm just going to make an entertaining movie, and if you don't buy into it, fine. I set up these simple rules, and if you can't buy into it, that's your choice, but I'm making a movie. And I'm fine with that. If you can make the movie entertaining and I got to swallow some logic, fine, I can do that. But when you make it too complicated, then I'm paying a lot more attention to the rules than I should, if that makes sense.
And I think some of the beauty of what some of the more modern movies have done with that is made, and I'm not going to ruin some of our future picks here and coming up in the conversation, but is making the time travel aspect of it a lesser part of the story. It's just more of a backdrop. It's just more of like, just go with it. You know, less explanation, more about the actual characters and the story that's going on instead of the science behind what's going on.
Yeah, I buy that. Mm-hmm. Now, do you guys bring set rules with you, or can you suspend whatever you think would happen to enjoy the rules that is set by that particular movie?
Well, I mean, we have to understand that time travel, in and of itself, what kind of rules should you be bringing with you, considering that it's pretty much utter bullshit? The kind of time travel we see in movies or TV shows, if scientists were ever to figure out some method of traveling through time, it would be so different than what we've seen. What's the point in having preconceived notions? I like to go into a film and then just let the movie give to me what it wants to give, rather than bringing a bunch of checkpoints that it has to match, check off. Because, some time travel movies, it's got a technological explanation, and others it's more of, say, a supernatural or a more romanticized reason for the time traveling. I really don't care how they're doing it so much as just be consistent with what you say you're doing. But I'll let the films be or the TV show be what it wants to be. I don't usually bring too much.
Yeah, I don't have any prerequisites other than just don't make up a rule to justify something in your movie. One of the things that always irks me is when movies do that whole you can't touch yourself or the universe would implode, mostly because they don't have
Time Cop, what's up?
Because they don't have the effects budget or whatever to put the actor in the frame twice is really the only reason I can think of. Because I touch myself all the time, and trust me, the universe is fine. Universe is fine. It's just one of those things where how would you know? Because how do you know that would happen? Because nobody can try it because they would be gone. They can't tell nobody. That's one of those things where I think you just got too many rules, and I have a hard time buying into it. So I can suspend what I believe for most rules, but that's the one rule I just can never buy into in a time travel movie.
I know what you mean about you can't touch your. I can't say that without.
You know what I mean about touching myself? I bet you do.
Yeah,
I touch myself.
Oh.
No, but like the movies talk about, the big thing in time travel movies is time paradoxes, and that's like one of the big burning questions that I think about when I think about time travel is, what would happen if like I ran into my former self, or if I crossed some line that just made history not make sense anymore. That's the biggest thing that like always frustrates me with time travel movies. You got to kind of let some of that go, really. I mean, because there's no way to make it happen for real, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. That brings up a question. If you that we don't have our time machine car yet, we don't have a DeLorean. If you guys could go back, do you have any like particular moment in history if you could only pick one that you would actually go back and affect? Have you ever thought about that? I'm sure Justin has.
Affect?
Change, alter, modify?
No, no, because I've a lot of people, they'll talk about, I wish I could go back in time and do something different. I've always kind of thought, well, if I did that, what about all the good things that have happened since then? So I don't know if I'd want to change anything that has happened in my personal life. And then how do I know if I'm affecting someone else's life, how that might affect mine or others? So I really wouldn't want to change anything. I think I would just want to go back and observe.
What?
Nothing?
As self-centered and selfish as you are, you're worried about other people?
Well, he's perfect enough.
When you're going back fixing your shit?
No, I'm not going to fix my stuff. I figure I am who I am, and I kind of like who I am and where I'm at. So I don't want to change anything, but I do want to go back in time and view some things, like who was up on that cross and who came out, because I don't think it is who everybody else thinks it is.
Who was really behind the grassy knoll, stuff like that.
That's right. No, I don't give a shit about that.
I do. That's probably the one thing I would change. I would go back. I want to know, man. That's driven me nuts forever. I really want to know if there was a second gunman. That's probably what I would do.
Do you want to change it?
No, I wouldn't change it.
Would you save JFK?
I would have busted. No, probably not, because I think that would change a lot of things, including the civil rights movement, because I think it actually moved a lot faster because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it would actually, it's a horrible thing, but it might be a good thing in the long run.
And I do want to see me some dinosaurs.
You want to go back just to get stomped by a T-Rex?
That's right.
Where you just like pop up in your DeLorean.
That's so cool.
And the DeLorean just whoosh, smashes it down.
Wait, are we talking about like traveling any time in time, or just within our own lives?
No, I said an event in history, and Justin jumped right to himself. So,
well, you said and change about your life. I'm like, no, I don't want to see. So you started it.
I don't think I said your life, but that's cool.
Well, let's go ahead and watch let's re-listen to the tape.
Let's hear the tape, Bob. What would you do, Scott? You got something? Is that what you're saying? You got a moment?
Well, outside of the obligatory Dane Cook reference of going home and going back and slapping my dad's ass while he's conceiving me, I would probably go back to me as a kid and be like, listen, this is what life's going to be like. These are the mistakes that you should probably try to avoid. These are the life lessons that you should probably know going into it. That's, I mean, it's simple, but from a selfish standpoint, those are the kind of things that I wish I would have had. I wish I would have had someone that would have told me these are the things you're going to screw up in life, and these are what you should do better.
Brian, please tell me you're with me. You'd go back and do something in history.
Yeah. Yeah, because whatever
like, choices, the South will rise again.
Because whatever choices I made that in my life, good and bad, have led me to the point where I've got the opportunity to go back in time and fuck some shit up.
That's what I was thinking. Got me to the point where I have a goddamn time machine.
Right. So I'm here with a time machine. I'm doing like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure stuff, man. I'm going to chill with Napoleon or Genghis Khan or whoever, man. I'm going to. God, man, y'all are some tards.
Yeah, I'm going to Shaka Khan. I'm doing everything I can do. Everything.
I'm hanging out at Studio 51. I'm
54.
Catching,
I think it's 54.
VD before they even got
Wait, you're going to go back in time to get VD before everybody else?
Yeah.
You think go forward in time to get the drugs to fight off the VD?
Right.
Brian's like, they're going to name herpes after this. They're going to call
it.
You
got to bring those drugs back with you is the key. That's what you got to do.
And that's when you sell it and you make enough money to buy Apple stock when it was like 10 cents a share.
Good call.
Honestly, that is what I think of my most favorite thing would be to do is to if I could take technology back with me and show people back in the day what we have now. All the crap I have on my cell phone now that like is
you mean showing them a cell phone period?
Seriously, yeah, exactly.
Like, what is that?
That I can talk to somebody by holding a thing up to my face. That's the most fun about time travel to me. Is
you have a hard time talking whenever you're holding the thing up to your face?
Well, not so much when it's.
Oh, Brian.
All right, skipping Brian's obvious juvenile attempts. What movie or series has done the worst job, in your opinion, representing time travel? Brian, you can go first.
All right, I've got a very short list here.
Well, good, because it should be just one. But go ahead.
All right, Black Knight with Martin Lawrence wearing a New York Jets football jersey and basically hanging out at medieval times. That was just horrible.
He should be ashamed of doing that movie because they called it Black Knight. Really? I mean,
yeah.
Have some integrity.
What are they going to call it? A Connecticut black man in King Arthur's court?
A Compton king or Compton man in
whatever
King Arthur's court. Heroes in the TV vein. Heroes just as if the characters and the story was not complicated enough. You had to throw in time travel. I'm sorry, that was unnecessary. And then you started bringing in carnival people. Whatever. It just ancient Japan, the future, just way too much going on.
And again, I didn't finish this series, but there seemed to be no resolution. Am I wrong on that? Especially with
there pretty much was no resolution.
You do time travel, you got to have some kind of revolution. You show a future version of somebody. I want to see that again.
Fair enough.
And you never did.
Scotty?
For me, I had just a couple. The first was the butterfly effect. As much as I liked that movie, the whole concept of how he traveled from one place to the other was just, I go into these spells and the screen shakes and I'm suddenly there by reading these old journals that I wrote when I was a kid. That was the explanation for that.
Is that any different than About Time?
No, not really. I actually like the butterfly effect,
but I love the butterfly effect. I like the movie. I really like the concept they went, but the explanation was so they focus so much on that effect and the butterfly effect. Whereas in About Time, it was like, you know what? Your part of the family history is that you can go in a closet and squeeze your fist and go to another time period, and that's it. I mean, it was just like it wasn't the part of the story. It was more about the characters and what they were doing instead of focusing on the time travel, as opposed to other time travel movies that are focusing the whole story around the time travel. For me, with About Time, it worked because I was able to just be like, okay, they gave us, we established the rules right off the bat, and that's it. Butterfly Effect kept doing it over and over and over again. The other one for me is Donnie Darko. I did enjoy this film quite a bit, but I kind of felt like the movie was full of itself. I think it purposely tried to make the concept of time travel way more complex than it needed to be, just to make people feel smarter for quote-unquote getting it before other people did.
I get that. Justin?
Free Jack was the first one that came to mind. I remember seeing this when I was a kid. It starred, Mick Jagger and Emilio Estevez and Rene Russo, about these people who go back in time to get bodies so that the rich can inhabit their bodies, because apparently in the present, future time, people are like infected or they're just sick or something makes those bodies unattractive to these rich people who want to live forever. So they go back in time and bone jack people from the past into the future. And if you get loose or something, you're called a free jack. It's a piece of shit. And I don't understand why that movie was even made. Maybe Mick Jagger wanted to do it bad enough. I don't know. Sound of Thunder is another piece of shit.
Oh, God, yeah.
Talk about convoluting your story needlessly. And frankly, it was just badly done in every respect, whether you're talking about the acting, the special effects. It was just a turd from the bottom up. And lastly, even though I'm a gigantic Trekkie, Star Trek Generations was just about one of the worst Star Trek movies made, and it's really a shame considering that this was the handoff between the original cast and the Next Generation. They just dropped the ball. It was a terrible meeting of the two captains, and I wish somebody could go back in time and redo that movie.
Weren't they like cooking together in that movie?
Oh yeah, and it's all about this ribbon of energy that travels through the galaxy, and people get in it, and then they live forever. Bleh. It's shit.
Sound of Thunder was my worst. Justin already covered it, but Edward Burns was the first mistake, and everything after that was the second. It just doesn't work at all. So, what are your top 3 time travel film related or TV related series? 3.
3?
Yes, just 3.
No more? Well, earlier you said you hated time travel stories that were too, not convoluted, but too technical.
Mm-hmm.
And my first one fits that to a T. Primer.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredibly complicated. And it's one of those movies that you have to watch at least 2 or 3 times to really get the story and all of the ins and outs of these two guys who are traveling through time. And it's only a small window of time, but they complicate it by putting a time travel device in the time travel device so that you get this other step. It's really weird, but it has next to no budget, no special effects of any kind, no big names, yet the writing and the acting in it is really well done. It's one of those indies that defies being an indie.
To tell you how low budget it is, they actually the caterer is actually like the writer, director, lead actor's mother.
There you go. You don't get much more indie, I guess, than that. We talked about Star Trek, though. For me, one of the best instances of time travel was the Next Generation episode called Yesterday's Enterprise, which was in season 3, episode 15. It was the episode in which the Enterprise comes up to this temporal distortion.
Time out. No. I'm sorry. We're doing specific episodes of series.
Yeah, you pick.
Look. No, there is no hey.
Then you gotta call it just the Star Trek, whatever that is. Yeah, you can't pick out specific episodes. Come on, man.
I just did.
And that's why we call you out on it, because that was dumb.
Why? It's a fantastic example of time travel.
All right, go ahead.
I mean, you can also do the finale episode, All Good Things. That's a great time travel one, too. But of all of the Star Trek time travel, I think Yesterday's Enterprise is my favorite because it presents this challenge of the Enterprise C fleeing certain death, yet knowing that in doing that, it changes the future into a much darker, desperate future than what happened after they died. And they know that, and they don't want to go back and die, but they have to. And so there's that whole push and pull of wanting to keep your own life, yet wanting to keep the future intact. It's just a really, really strong episode. Lastly, all of season 5 of Lost.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I love those guys back in the 70s, back when the Dharma Initiative was huge on the island. I thought it was a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah. I guess nobody's loving that Lost. I actually am with him. I like that season of Lost. You didn't like it, Scott?
No, I did. It's just...
All right.
I'm sorry. I just have such a bad taste of Lost in my mouth.
Fair enough.
I love so much of it, but I also dislike so much of it.
We're not getting on that goddamn conversation for crying out loud.
Yeah, I know.
Scotty, you go.
Other people's love of that show means nothing, or hatred of it.
I am shocked I'm the first to mention Back to the Future. To me, Back to the Future is the quintessential time travel series whatsoever. There's been so few movies that have sparked my imagination about time travel as much as those 3 films have. As crappy as the second film was, I still love every minute of that movie. I remember as a kid sitting and mulling over time paradoxes. You know, just in my head, like, well, what would happen if I were here and if I met myself there? And that was all spawned from that movie. The second is a really lesser known Disney movie called Flight of the Navigator.
Okay.
Which you may call cheesy as hell. It is. I will agree with you 100%. I loved that movie as a kid. The cool factor of that movie was so high on the level. For me, I loved it. I can still watch that movie to this day and still have a good time with it, even though it's cheesy, because of the nostalgia I have, and I'm wearing nostalgia glasses, I'll admit it, full-fledged. But it's, again, one of those movies that sparked so much imagination for me as a kid, and that means something for me. Lastly, About Time, a more modern movie that we've talked about. I've said enough about this movie already. I love this movie. What I loved about it, as far as the time travel aspect, is that they didn't go into so much detail. All you knew was the guy could go into a closet, clench his fist, and go back to any time in history, in his own history. And I really appreciated that, and the fact that they made the story so very personal. And it was more about the drama than it was about the time travel itself. So, kind of cheating a little bit, because time travel is more of the backdrop of that story, but I still loved it. So, those are my 3.
That's not cheating. It's a big part of the story. If you love it, you love it.
All right.
Brian?
Oh, I'm going with some more widely appreciated movies. I got to agree with Scott with the Back to the Future trilogy. And it's not only is it a fun, but the attention to detail in the whole trilogy, from the first movie through the third, where you see the basically de-evolution of the neighborhood that he was in. You know, you see him, and it's like a good-looking neighborhood. It's clean. It's a suburban neighborhood. He goes back in time. It's being built. He goes forward in time. It's a rundown slum-looking place. It's just run over, and that's just one of hundreds of examples throughout that movie. So the attention to detail in that needs to get some mention there. Mm-hmm. On top of that, another one that's just really fun is Bill and Ted. Excellent Adventure. Just very fun. Love that movie. And I've got, from the other end of the spectrum, I got to say, one of my favorites is Primer.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. I'm not smart enough to understand it. And even looking at there's actually a chart that's out there where you can actually see the different timelines and how they interact. And even looking at that, I still don't understand it, but it's. I guess I appreciate the fact of how it was. The independent aspect of it. How they these guys got this made. It is a smart movie. I think I just appreciate maybe the whole thing, not just the story and the acting and that kind of stuff. Even the behind the scenes stuff. I think it's one of those, I just kind of incorporate everything I know about the movie all into the title and just kind of go from there. So that's my 3. And Quantum Leap. There you go. Honorable mention. Bam.
No,
sorry.
Bullshit. You don't get honorable mentions. Nobody gets honorable mentions. Fuck you. Thankfully, that's my number 3. So nice segue, Brian.
Right.
Quantum Leap is my number 3. It's just a fun show, and it had a lot of variations on how to implement and utilize time travel, and also it covered a lot of topical issues. I love that show. Scott Bakula is just so good at it. I always feel bad because he's always that guy that I think should have been a lot more famous than he was.
Yep.
Yes,
but,
absolutely.
Whatever. That happens sometimes to actors, but it's a great show.
What was great about that show was that they set up the rule very simplistic. You can't travel any further back than the time that you were born.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that just ruled out a whole lot of other stuff.
And the fact that you could jump in anybody's body, and so you could adjust to any time period and live any scenario and do anything that had already been, in your time frame. I just love that aspect of it because you got to cover so many different topics, and every racial issue that came up, every sexual issue that came up, everything that came up was covered in that show, and they did just a masterful job of it.
It was a perfect backdrop for a show that they could cover so many different bases.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like pigeonholed into one type of show. It could be any kind of show it really wanted to be.
Exactly. And there was like one, like he goes through the whole episode and he's what was the one he was like a kid who was musician and everything. And then like at the very last, and it's really kind of a backdrop to the whole show. And then at the very end, like he puts on some glasses and it's those black cat eye glasses or whatever, like Buddy Holly. And you find out he was actually Buddy Holly as a kid or whatever. It was just like those, oh my God type moments that there was like every other episode was like that.
Yep.
Number
so
2.
You, just like Buddy Holly.
You were just waiting that whole time just to sing that song. Right?
Mary Tyler Moore.
Number 2 is Army of Darkness. Because this is my boomstick, bitches. It's one of the most enjoyable frickin' movies I've ever enjoyed. And the budget and script be damned. Yes, it violates every law of what constitutes a good movie. I realize that, and I just don't care. I just love it.
Constitutes a shotgun.
Yeah. I mean, basically, he never reloads, and he doesn't need to because he's Ash. That's why.
It's a 2-barrel shotgun.
He just spins it around on his finger, and that automatically reloads everything.
Absolutely. You know why I love that so much is because he reloads only when it looks cool, and I like that. Number 1, my favorite time travel movie, and I wouldn't have cared if all of you picked it because it was still my number 1, is Frequency. And that's
so good.
It's such a good movie. Dennis Quaid is...
just because it's got Dennis Quaid.
No, I loved it, whether Dennis Quaid was in it or not.
It was an emotional movie. I'll give it that.
Exactly. Dennis Quaid plays a dad, and he's talking to his son Jesus, Jim Caviezel, through some crazy loop in the space-time continuum, and he's doing it through an old ham radio. And his dad was a fireman in the past. He's helping his son solve a murder in the future. Mistakes are made, the future's affected, and I found out IMDb today that apparently a lot of the 1969 things actually didn't exist in 1969, and I don't care because it's such a good movie. It all comes down, it's a sweet, moving little thriller. A lot of people haven't seen it. It's one of those nice, quiet movies that it made a decent amount of money, and it was right when Dennis Quaid was starting to become a star again. Kind of got him back in the lead roles and whatnot, and I just love it. And that end gets me every single time. Actually,
it does me too,
makes me tear up, and I don't get teared up. So, and P.S. Those that have seen the movie, Dennis Quaid did his own damn stunts and had 16 stitches to his head as he slid down that construction slide during the fire because he's a fucking man. Fortunately, I think I'm the only one that feels that way, but that's how I feel. Now, his brother is a nutty bastard. His brother is a nut.
Yeah, but he's got some damn bait, so.
He does have some damn bait. Now let's read.
I'm with you on Frequency. I love that movie. It's one of those movies that no matter how many times I see it, I love to go back and watch it. It's a feel-good time travel movie, for lack of a better way to say it. And we keep talking about the mechanics of the time travel. That one is so out there that you almost buy it enough. Oh, we can talk to somebody through Aurora Borealis or whatever is going on and through the waves, and I can talk to my dad from 30, 40 years ago. That's just enough out of the realm of possibility that you can kind of buy it.
Yeah.
And I love the way the story went.
Yeah, it was absolutely. Well, I thought it was an insane idea. I mean, I'm just sitting there when I heard the story. Well, this is going to be dumb, but I just love the way they did it. So it's a fun little mystery thriller with a sci-fi premise. So, All right, guys, why don't you read off what our Facebook listeners had suggested? And we did trim them a bit, so please don't be offended if not all your comments are mentioned.
Well, Junebug Johnson says best Doctor Who, Terminator, including Sarah Connor Chronicles. Prisoner of Azkaban, Primer was fascinating but confusing as hell. Worst, just saw Timeline for the first time recently. Ouch.
Ooh, poor Paul Walker.
David McGrath says some good ones not already mentioned. Time After Time from H.G. Wells chases Jack the Ripper into the future.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, nice catch. Yeah.
And Somewhere in Time, great Christopher Reeve tearjerker.
Yeah, that is.
One of my favorite movies is Frequency, Star Trek 4, and First Contact. And, of course, Army of Darkness. So
What? I like you, David McGrath. You got good taste, man.
Suck up.
Carlos Hernandez says Time Cop. The movie was horrible, but the TV series was actually good.
They made a series out of that?
I don't remember that either.
Did they?
I don't remember that.
Wow. Well, I actually like the movie, even though the time stuff makes no sense and it doesn't work. But he did the ass splits. Come on.
Wasn't that the Life on Mars show?
Oh,
just kidding.
Nice. I see what you did.
Cops, time travel,
Yeah,
whatever.
Got it, Chief. Got it.
Let's move on.
Scott Kagaro says 1989's Millennium, starring Chris Christopherson and Cheryl Ladd, is a time travel movie that I think is often overlooked and underrated. The premise is fantastic, and it deals with the whole "oops, I changed history, now what" paradox issue very directly and catastrophically. Loved it. It wasn't a bad film. Wasn't a bad
was
film.
good.
Yeah, well, Lance Henriksen kind of screwed that up for any good memories of that. With the TV show.
Yeah, I got you.
Series.
I like
All right.
Millennium.
Show.
Millennium was a good show.
Yeah, for what, the 2 episodes that it
It
lasted?
was on 3 seasons, Jackass, but you continue.
Andrew Renahan says best Primer. That's all he says. Best equals Primer.
Okay.
That's all I needed to say.
Well, he was in your camp on that one for sure.
Man, a few words.
Robert John Davenport says Deja Vu and Next are both time travel sorta guilty pleasures. Though I love how Looper just came out and said the principles don't matter, just watch the story. And Timeline is probably the worst. Still kind of fun. Still kind of fun to watch though. Man, Looper was on my list and I did not add it. And Looper was so good. I like Looper a lot.
I did too. Yep. Craig Schermerhorn says best movies: About Time, Frequency, Jumanji, Men in Black 3, all Josh Brolin.
Damn.
Meet the Robinsons. Worst, Looper. Craig, really, Craig. Time Cop, Time Rider, and what is AP Goldmember? Oh, Austin Powers Goldmember.
Austin Powers, man.
It's an advertising firm.
I was about to say, what? Am I suddenly getting spammed for a credit card? No.
Oh, wow.
Is that it?
All right. Marcus Shelton says worst movies would be Sound of Thunder, Sphere. I don't know about that one.
I like Sphere.
I do too.
Crap.
Continuum, the movie. Best would be Planet of the Apes. That would be considered time travel, right? I'm assuming the original, which I would say yes. Also, Terminator, The Time Machine, and 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys is one of mine I had on the list that Aaron wouldn't let me add earlier. So
yeah, me too. I'm surprised nobody mentioned Time Machine. I thought that would be on somebody's favorite.
It's H.G. Wells, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought somebody did mention
H.G. Wells also did the Taylor Kitsch classic. Which one?
Classic.
John Carter?
John Carter.
That was not
That's not
H.G.
H.G.
Wells. That was
man.
written by Howard.
Yeah.
Same guy who wrote Conan. But you're wrong a lot tonight, man.
Well, it's after midnight.
It's okay. It's okay. Is that it?
We'll move on to Steve Peterson, who says movies: Back to the Future, Looper, 12 Monkeys, TV, Lost, Doctor Who. Can't think of worse right now. I'm with you on Back to the Future, Looper. Obviously, 12 Monkeys was so good.
It's so good.
So good.
In front of you?
No,
And it was Edgar Rice Burroughs, not Howard. But you're right, I was wrong.
We were both wrong. There we go. I was right in correcting you, but wrong in my correction.
There you go.
Douglas Clayton says best. Bill and Ted's Part 1 and 2. Looper, About Time. Really like this movie. And lastly, all the Terry Gilliam movies. Worst. Although I never saw it, I don't think The Black Knight is my cup of tea. And The Time Machine stank like monkey balls. I feel like I'm having deja vu.
Justin Vaughn says Sound of Thunder. Great story. Horrible translation.
He's right.
We got Stephen White, who says best: Time Crimes, Back to the Future trilogy, Primer, 12 Monkeys, Terminator 1 and 2, The Final Countdown.
The final countdown.
God, that just happened.
Edge of Tomorrow, hopefully. Worst: Free Jack, The Butterfly Effect, A Sound of Thunder, Idiocracy, Looper.
Okay, Idiocracy, Stephen. Really? That's bad.
A lot of people think so. I know people that love it and hate it.
A lot of people are wrong.
Okay.
Idiocracy was good in concept. It got really long in the tooth by the end of that movie.
Yeah, it stretched a funny premise out way too long.
Yeah.
Like Judge shits on
whatever.
TV series, best: Doctor Who, Life on Mars, British version. Journeyman, Fringe. Worst: Terra Nova, Life on Mars, the American version.
James Butts. Sorry. I liked Journeyman before they canceled it. Stupid networks. Time Cop never made sense to me because you needed a vehicle to go through time but disappeared when you arrived and then reappeared when you came back. Weird.
Jason Taylor says best movies: Back to the Future, Looper, and hopefully Edge of Tomorrow. Worst movie: A Sound of Thunder. All right, we got differing opinions here. Great story, horrible movie. Best okay, I guess they agree on that. So, best TV show: Life on Mars. Worst TV show: Time Cop. All these people have seen Time Cop, the TV show, but miraculously, it's missed all three of us.
Mike Helgestad says best: Back to the Future. Worst: Time Cop. And lastly,
Jonathan Spear, worst time travel movie I've seen in a long time is The Time Traveler's Wife.
Thank you.
Best one I've seen recently is About Time. Didn't they both share an actress?
Rachel McAdams can make or break your time travel movie.
Such a charming movie. Scott was so right.
Lord have mercy. Because actually, you need the ego boost. Mr. Down in the... All right, Abu Gotti liked us on Facebook. Kevin Fisk, Justin McCamey, Matola Christina, Pablo Antonio Garcia Lopez, Jose Alvarado, Quinn Jefferson, Ken Ivey, Mark Harlock, Santo Suso, Don Carroll, and Frankie Mercado. Thanks for liking us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/The Hollywood Outsider. You can always email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. We've got a couple quick ones, and we can wrap this show up. Justin.
First one's from Tammy. She says, watching True Detective, and oh my God, seriously? Matthew McConaughey keeps impressing me. Geez, I'm a hoe. Speaking of which, Aaron...
Yeah?
Did you ever finish True Detective, even though you started at the end like a doof?
Yeah, I finished it. It's fantastic. It was very, very well done. I highly recommend it. Plus, it's only 8 episodes. That's great. It's like the best kind of series, man. It doesn't
but
take
each one feels like it's 2 hours.
There are the first Not 2 really. Maybe, but after that, it just kept going.
All right, well, I'm glad you watched it.
All right, well, D.A. Cheney says, I think Gotham could go either way. I'm not fully in one camp or another on it. Teenage villains could be good. A comic book police procedural could be interesting, especially if Gordon goes after crimes that shape our villains' futures in some way.
And lastly, we got one from Peter Germany. He says, I really enjoyed the Spider-Man spoiler cast. I pretty much agreed. Seems they've wasted a lot of story in one film.
And I can't remember if we read that last week, so if it's a duplicate, Well, it's there again.
Spider-Man.
And we've got one more email. It says, hey, hoes, the what's this answer for the week is The Thing. I hope I had you on the list, Scott. But one of the greatest horror classics of the 80s. In keeping with the Russell Quaid-Peterson love triangle, I wanted to mention to the listeners that I took Aaron's advice and watched Savior, starring Dennis Quaid. If you're a fan of his, and I'm fairly sure Aaron is, well, yeah, I told you to watch it. Durr. On the show, man. This is a must-see. His performance is absolutely riveting. Thank you! I keep telling people. Nobody believes me. However, if you do watch it, don't expect a feel-good movie of the week. It's not exactly an uplifting story. No, it'll take your heart and stomp on it. Otherwise, still trekking back through time with your show, somewhere in the mid-60s. Wow, you're really listening to every episode. I think, and loving every second of it. Thanks again for brightening up my commutes. Rock on hose. Scotch, what's his name? Nice.
You guys still can't pronounce his damn name.
Thanks,
right?
Scotch. You can stay through the critics for outtakes. TheHollywoodOutsider.com is our website. Tweet us at H_outsider. Facebook.com/The Hollywood Outsider. Leave us a message or text us, 818-814-6246. Listen and subscribe on iTunes, your Stitcher Radio, or through our RSS feed. Justin's got a book. It's called Stillwater. You can find a fantastic promo shot on the Facebook page. Highly recommend it. But that's going to do it all for this show. Next week is going to be fun for y'all because I'm not doing the format next week. I'll do like a basic template for what's coming out. But these guys are going to pick the news and the topic. So whatever we end up in the trailers, whatever we end up with is on them. I got nothing to do with it because I'm going.
We're going to actually communicate this week. That's going to be kind of weird.
Yeah, I can't wait till I get back and there's nothing. It's like a 44-second show. But so if anything is horrible next week, it's their fault. You can't hold me accountable. I'm going to the mountains.
Oh, the inmates are running the asylum, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yay! So thanks, Justin, Brian, and Scott for being here.
Is it already over?
Good Lord, that flew by.
Yeah. If you guys hear technical difficulties, we've had a hell of a night recording this. This is how much we love you that we kept doing it because, trust me, I think all of us wanted to quit at least thrice.
We started this Sunday night. It is now Thursday morning. Just saying.
All right, guys. Well, the next time you go to a theater, remember, buy popcorn.
Well, mine's also off to the side, but I mean, I have it's facing my mouth, just off to the side. So, wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
That just happened.
I couldn't hold it any longer. I tried.
Now, do you have it straight up, like 6 to midnight, or is it...
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you need to have it pointing up.
Stop it.
All right, keep going.
Keep going. I'm running... Okay. That's pretty much my day, man. I don't know.
7 years.
I'll be honest, have you ever thought about world domination?
I'm too lazy. And that is the truth of it.
Gotta love his honesty.
Yeah, gotta love his honesty. I was gonna conquer the world, but I had shit to do, like nap.
I'm just too tired.
Banging your 12s.
What? Banging your 12s?
Speakers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have 15s.
Yeah, if you gave me another second, I would have finished.